This lesson focuses on texture. We're going to be doing a little printmaking today. These are two examples of works of art that I created simply using paper, an everyday pencil, and a black crayon that I've removed the outside paper from. So you can see you can do a whole lot of really creative things with this technique. I would recommend doing a little practice to begin with. So I just have regular paper just from my printer at home, and I looked around my house and I was looking for things that might provide texture. So I have an old earring, I have some washers, I have a plate that has texture on the bottom. Oftentimes glass objects are really great resources for this. I have some thick string. I have another work of art that I did a while ago. And finally, I have my shoe. I cleaned off the bottom though before I began. So it's really simple, you know, find a pencil, crayon of your choice. I really prefer sticking with one color because you're going to be having a lot of textures, a lot of different designs. And if you just stick with one color, you might have better results, but please, please feel free to experiment. So as I'm planning out my design, you know, first of all, I think I'll just experiment with crayon. If I place my paper over that object, and I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use my left hand to hold that nice and steady, and I can rub that crayon right across the surface and create some interesting textural designs. Again, I would recommend doing a couple practice pieces before you go to your final work of art. Maybe this design is coming in from the outside corner. You can see how important, or you'll discover how important it is to use one hand to hold your paper nice and steady, and then one hand to do the actual rubbing. And you might remember doing this before, maybe with leaves from your yard. That would be a great source of texture. You know, just have fun experimenting. I was pretty excited to find this rope in a junk drawer, but then when I tried to do it with pencil, it didn't work super well. But then when I did it with crayon, it worked really, really well. So it might be that you want to experiment with your textural items as well as what material you're actually using to create with. The shoe was pretty awesome too, I have to tell you. Okay, so let's try the shoe. So that's what the shoe could potentially look like. So when I was in the process of designing my final work of art, I did put some thought into it. I knew that I wanted the shoe to be sort of a focal point. I wanted to make sure that my Puma showed up there. And I just started layering. You can see I have my rope. I have a lot of these washers from the garage. I really like circular designs. And I used my favorite objects over and over again. You can see I used my plate, 1, 2, 3, all kinds of washers. I used this element and I moved it down the side of the paper several times to create what you see on the left-hand side there. So that was with crayon. Pencil's a little different. I knew I wanted to create sort of a radial mandala shape, something floating in the sky. So this was a lot of fun. I used my plate with my pencil. I wasn't holding my pencil straight up and down. I had my pencil on an angle, and I was sort of doing a feathery stroke like that, and I would just move it around until I was happy with the design. You'll notice sometimes when you're using pencil, you'll get some overlay of your pencil like that. Remember, as the artist, you were in charge of all choices, so I could come in and clean that up, get my nice crisp circular design back. I could then even come in and add a little bit more shading in the back, focusing on value. Remember, value is the lightness or darkness of whatever material you're using. And I really look forward to seeing what all of you guys and girls create.